I ended up basically in a position in 2024 where I lost my job. I feel like I can make day trading work. Everything feels like it's aligned. My social media was kind of picking up. The day trading thing, and I was in big gains club, so I was like, let me just go all in on this. But I didn't have a job, so I was basically using my credit cards to pay for everything, just going into debt slowly. It was slowly, getting better. It was just stressful, but it was getting better. And it just got to the point where I was close to maxing my credit cards. I only had enough left for one more month of bills. I put so much pressure on myself to get a payout because I haven't gotten a payout yet. And finally, after so long not struggling with psychology, I just blew the accounts gambling, basically, on a funded account. I'm seeing myself doing it. I know I'm doing it. I'm what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But I'm doing it.
What did you do to kind of overcome this mindset hurdle? All right, folks, we've got Erick Jablonski in the house here on Trading Nut. This guy's been trading for the last 9 years. He's got a journey to share with you today, and we're going to dive into that to help you improve as a trader yourself. So, Erick, welcome to the show.
Nice. Thanks for having me. I think I messaged you before we started that this is one of the first podcasts I watched when I first got into trading, and I would listen to you while I was at work. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
to be
crazy.
on.
It's crazy full circle moment here. I'm actually looking back as to how I even stumbled on you or why you got recommended. I can't find it, but I've looked at your stuff, and I believe what you're going to be able to share today is going to help people, even though you might not be making millions out of this at the moment.
Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Black Bull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Black Bull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Black Bull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below.
To start off with, for those that don't know you, do you want to just give a bit of a background into how everything panned out for you when you started your trading journey?
Yeah, so I started trading in 2017. I think last month was my 9-year anniversary, I guess you can call it. I stumbled onto day trading. Honestly, it was because I was going through a breakup, my first breakup. And most guys, when they go through a breakup, they're you either go crazy or you find somewhere to put your energy and focus. So I was just looking for stuff online. I was all right, I got to do something because I'm going to go crazy here. And then I found videos of Tim Sykes of penny stocks, penny stocks and day trading. And I just went hard at it. And so I started with penny stocks. And it did actually work for the first year or two. I was definitely I made all the mistakes. I was gambling. I was just full porting, really emotional, just losing money, but it wasn't that much. I only had I was in college back then. So I, max lost probably $1,000, but it did get to the point I was trading penny stock breakouts where it was profitable within the first 3 years. I tripled my money over numerous trades, not just on one trade. So I was I got this. I finally figured it out. 3 years, I got the strategy. I put in a lot of time, a lot of work. I back tested manually, and then it stopped working. And I kept trying to do it for months, and it wouldn't work anymore. And I don't know if you want me to go into the full story, but that's how I started.
We won't labor the point here, but so maybe just skip through some of the parts here to get people up to speed.
Yeah. So after that, I basically started trying a bunch of different strategies because I've only done penny stocks and only penny stock breakouts. So, I tried options. I tried, I think just options actually. And then I switched to futures, and I started using prop firms. I traded with ICT for a bit, and then that didn't work. And I started posting content 4 years ago. So luckily I stuck with that while trading, and I didn't really see much from posting content, but eventually, it got to the point where someone reached out and offered to like help me for free, like a profitable trader. And that helped me. And I got like my first 3 payouts, which was last year. And then another guy, Rake Trades, offered to help me. And that's basically what I'm using now. I'm trading still futures on prop firms. And I'm at 5 payouts now, net profitable, like $800. So it's not, it's an achievement. Like I'm in the top, statistically, I'm whatever percentage, but
yeah, it's a good achievement. I mean, regardless of the actual monetary value, I mean, 8 payouts is meant you've gone through that process. 5 payouts means you've gone through that process and managed to successfully grow an account, which at the end of the day, it just comes down to size now, right? So your 800 could be 80 grand. It could be 800 grand, depending on how big you're risking. Whether or not the mindset can handle that is a different story. So do you want to talk us through like maybe that transition from, somebody reached out to you, said they'd help you. How did that go? I mean, what were the things that they recommended you do to try and, get to a profitability stage?
Yeah. So the first guy who helped me is called Big Gains Club. It's just like a Discord. And honestly, one of the main things that really helped me, like he did trade. Like I learned from ICT for a year. Like I went hard in ICT. Like I made a Discord and everything for ICT traders. So like, I did dedicate a lot of my time and effort into it and it just didn't work. And then Big Gains Club, he's still trading similar concepts. But what helped me a lot, I realized, is that it was the first time I could actually watch someone trade live because, it's a Discord and see him make money. And like, I knew, like I kind of believed like, oh, day trading is possible, but I never actually saw it. And then when I actually saw it, I was like, wait, like this is like, he's actually doing this. Like, day after day, I was in there like for weeks, for months, I saw him making money. And I was also, the reason he helped me is he wanted me to make content about it. So I made content and I like basically copied his trades. I was saying like, I'm copying his trades and I'm making money and I'm using his strategy and like, I'm turning profitable with my own trades. So I was like, dang, like, this is crazy. Like why I was so close-minded to basically getting help or paying for help because I just, the industry is kind of sketchy.
People kind of go through that phase and I went through it as well and if you're listening, you may have gone through it and leave a comment if you did, but it's where you don't believe anyone is actually making money from this.
Yeah.
You actually think, I interviewed a lot of people, right? And I was like, I started getting skeptical as to like whether or not was anyone actually making money from this. And then eventually I stumbled on like people that started, I could definitely see they were making money. And then the prop firm thing came into it. And you and me were probably around before the prop firm thing blew up. And therefore it was harder to verify whether or not somebody actually was doing well out of this.
True.
So that's a hurdle, which I don't think maybe people aren't suffering from that now because of prop firms, because I can see that, the payouts are coming and what have you. Okay. So that was interesting. So you learned his strategy, or did you actually get some mindset help there, or how did all that factor into it? Now we talk a lot about strategy and mindset here on the Trading Nut podcast, but that doesn't really matter unless you've got the right environment to trade in. So if you're struggling with a prop firm, then I recommend checking out our partner, propfirmmatch.com. These folks have got a massive database of prop firms, got them all verified there with customer reviews. It's completely impartial and transparent. It's worthwhile checking them out. There's a coupon code and link in the description that's going to help you save some money at checkout too.
It was basically, I learned his strategy. Like, he had a course. So I watched it and, because it was basically ICT concepts or like, SMC, whatever you want to call it, it was similar enough. And that combined with actually finally having proof that is possible. Like, I think just way back in the back of my mind, I was like, still just doubting. I had doubt that, I've never actually seen this. So how do I know it's actually possible? Maybe everyone's just faking it, and I think that did make a big difference. But yeah, I did like learn from him, which is the other part.
I suppose it gives people confidence when you can see somebody in real time and you're actually witnessing it and go, okay, this guy's pretty consistently growing an account, and it validates it for you that, okay, that's a turning point. You can now go, right, this is possible versus this is just rigged and I'm going to be manipulated in the markets for the rest of my life. So, okay, so you took his stuff. Why did you decide to deviate then?
When I was trading ICT, it was the ICT 2022 model, or maybe 2021. I think he makes it every year probably, right, at this point. I stopped watching him, so I don't know, but
I think it was just one time he released it. That was it.
Okay. Yeah, so I was trading that model, and I just couldn't get it to work for some reason. I was using fair value gaps, liquidity sweep. I was trying to look at the high time frames, and just, it's also really hard, in my opinion, to learn from him, from ICT, that is. A lot of people agree with that. So I think it's about finding like the right mentor, maybe even more than finding the right strategy, and the right mentor, and like also the right strategy. Like it has to feel like both of those things have to align with you, and I don't think ICT was the right mentor for me, and the strategy for some reason wasn't either.
Yeah, it seemed to be like correct me if I'm wrong, I've never really traded ICT, but it's like it's time of day strategy. So you're looking at for the move of the day. And if you're not there at that time of the day, then you're kind of, for me, it's just completely the wrong time, middle of the night. But if you're not there that time of the day, you're going to miss the move, or the big move that's going to help, fix all the problems that you might get if you, take a couple of losses and what have you. I know other people have made it work in varying formats. So it's not impossible, but so what was the one you landed on? And you mentioned the guy's name. I can't remember who it was.
Oh yeah. So his name is Rake Trades.
Rake or Rick?
Rake, RAKE.
Okay.
Trades.
Okay, and so how did that? What was different between what he does and like an ICT strategy would be?
Yeah. So the ICT strategy, like the one from Big Gains Club, the previous guy who helped me, it was still a lot of discretion, which goes back to the point where I said, I feel like the strategy also needs to be aligned with you. So while in that case, Big Gains Club, I felt like the mentor, he was aligned with me. The strategy just wasn't. Like, I'm a pretty patient guy. I've always felt like swing trading is a better fit for me in higher time frames. But yeah, I've traded from 2017 up until last year, the 1 minute chart pretty much exclusively, 1 minute and 5 minute. And with the Rake trade strategy, I can now trade on like higher time frames. So now I'm trading like 15 minute or the 1 hour, sometimes holding over the weekend or overnight. And it's less discretion and more like a checklist. Like, okay, this, and this. If I don't have these things, then I don't trade. So it makes it very slow, honestly. Like right now, I don't trade that much. I'm still like profitable, but it's just frustrating because I'm not trading because there aren't setups. So it's just kind of annoying from that aspect, but it does feel better aligned. So I'm kind of trying to navigate that where I can still follow the strategy, but trade more while following the strategy.
Yeah. Like, the way I kind of see it is that, there's two there are strategies that work and strategies that work for a period of time. As people say, a lot of people say every strategy works, but the reality is, but only for a short period of time, and then it will stop working, and then it might start working again in another period of time. Why?
True.
Because it's too simplistic, and that edge, if you just look at the very core rules, is most likely going to just fall apart over choppy bit of market, or if it's reversal and it's a trending market, you're going to get cut up, blah blah blah. It's going to have its time, and to get something, and correct me if I'm wrong, and this is what you may be saying, is to get something that works all the time, you need to have something that has enough confluence. You're building confluence to try and paint a picture to get into a position for whatever the phase of the market is, right? Whether it be a range, whether it be trending, whether it be setting up for a big reversal, you need to have enough confidence there to go, yep, the weight is on my side. And it sounds like what you've got is a strategy which is more rules-based in terms of, I'm just making sure all these things line up. And when they do, which is kind of like a confluence, you're going to get into the position. But it means a lot of waiting and a lot of, seeing when are the rules going to all line up and being there at the right time so you don't miss the trade.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I mean, it's like one of the things is multi-time frame confluence. So looking at the weekly, daily, hourly, and 15-minute. And then just, if they're not all aligned, which, I mean, right now it is because we're at all-time highs, or at least on ES and NQ futures, which is what I trade. So like, right now it's aligned, but oftentimes it's not like, maybe.
I mean, at a high level, can you kind of describe what the strategy would be?
Describe the strategy you're saying?
Yeah, just at a high level.
Yeah. So it's a level strategy, and I can't talk about how to find the levels because he asked me not to, because rake trades, I think, learned from other people. And those people, like, there's a lot of people who paid to learn this information.
So levels that's what we need to know. So you're using levels.
Yeah, it's levels.
Yeah,
it's levels on the hourly chart. It can be day trades, but sometimes I end up holding overnight or I've only held overnight, I think like 3 or 4 times. So it's like, I call it swing trading because I'm used to trading on the 1 minute, So for me, 15 minute is like, oh dang, I'm like holding.
I'm swinging that.
This is like swing trading for me. But yeah, it's looking for levels on the hourly. You need to take a trade like basically near a level. So if there's no level that it's near, like boom, I can't trade for the day. So that makes it hard, or makes it more. What's the word I'm looking for? It happens less often.
Right.
I have to wait until after the first hour of open. That's kind of more of a subjective rule, I think, that he added because a lot of traders trade the first hour and they get screwed up with volatility. Yeah. I think it's more so for that, but I still follow it anyways.
I mean, would you say you've been given the ability to kind of read price action and understand what's going on and be able to confidently go, okay, I think I know what everyone else is doing? Or is it more, I'm just able to check the boxes and follow the plan and go, I don't really know other than this is my strategy. I'm just going to follow it.
Yeah. I don't know if it would be really cool for me to look at the market and feel like I can confidently read it at all times, but I don't think I can. But like, there are times where I can definitely like, okay, it looks like this is happening, or, if this happens, we'll probably go to here. So I probably won't want to, I think sometimes I make really accurate predictions and I'm like kind of surprised. But I think what's better is that I'm able not necessarily to read price action and predict like, oh, this is where it's going to go. But I can maybe predict isn't the right word. If a trade setup, like if this is a setup or if the conditions are good for me to enter a trade. And I've been really good at that lately, which I think is why I take so little trades lately. But yeah, I don't know if does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's probably, it sounds like you've got a little bit of knowledge. I mean, what I was kind of alluding to is where things started to change for me was just in terms of the level of confidence, was being able to understand what was actually going on, what other traders were trying to do. And therefore, once you can see what everyone else is trying to do, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a profitable trader and you're going to be like killing it, but you definitely have a lot more confidence in taking a position on those lower timeframes, like a 1 minute, 2 minute, whatever it is. So yeah, that was a game changer for me with like, I'm trading this DTC style trading. And once you kind of get that level, it's like the difficulty then becomes mindset. right? And how you control the mindset around everything that comes with trading. I mean, how did that stuff for you factor in? I mean, did you have some big hurdles to overcome? And if so, how did you do that?
Yeah. So when I first started trading, like with the penny stocks, I made all the normal mistakes. Like I tried actually a bunch of strategies at first, and then I would like see something new. I'm like, oh, let me try this. I would just, every mistake in the book I would make. So like that was the hurdle. But then after that, it felt like I was almost invincible psychologically. Like I was like, I don't get how people struggle. Like I have my rules and I stick to it. I'm like, I really don't understand how people struggle with this, And I was making, again, I was making money. So I was just like, bro, I figured it out. Like I'm never going to struggle again. And then it stopped working. I tried using a bunch of different other strategies, not a bunch, but more methodically. And I still didn't struggle psychologically until the end of 2024. Yeah, like the end of 2024, I ended up in a position where basically, this is like my main story on social media is that I'm really honest about. It's kind of like, vulnerable and embarrassing, but I ended up basically in a position in 2024 where I lost my job. So I was like, okay, I feel like I can make day trading work. I was getting help from Big Gains Club. So I was like, okay, like everything feels like it's aligned. My social media was kind of picking up the day trading thing. And like, I was in Big Gains Club. So I was like seeing him make money. I was like, okay, like, I had like, let me just go all in on this. But I didn't have a job. So I was basically using my credit cards to like pay for everything, just like going into debt slowly. And it was like slowly, getting better. It was just stressful, but it was like getting better. And it just got to the point where I was like close to maxing my credit cards. I only had like enough left for like one more month of bills. I put so much pressure on myself to get a payout because I haven't gotten a payout yet. And I basically ended up finally, after so long not struggling with psychology, I just blew the accounts like gambling, basically, on a funded account. Like I've gambled before on an eval. I never thought I would gamble on a funded account, and just like it happened, And I was like, I see myself doing it. And I'm like seeing myself doing it. I know I'm doing it. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, why am I doing this? But I'm doing it. Yeah. I lose the account.
It's kind of designed to get you to that point. I think like a lot of them. I'll be honest. I did it the other day. I had grown the account to like almost the payout level, right? So I was up like, I think it was 5% on the account. I only had like a few more percent to go, and I was like really doing well.
Yeah.
And then I left an order on the chart that a take profit order.
Like you forgot about it?
I forgot about it. I thought I'd close the whole position out, and I left the order there, went to bed, woke up in the morning, and I had a soft breach on the account, which like almost drained the entire account because it was like all the profit. And I was like, you're kidding me. Thankfully, Blue Guardian killed the trade, right? Because they've got this protector in there. But I was like, oh, crying out loud. But then psychologically, it was like all that work that I put in was like, it was like gone, right? It was like, and I just could not get past it. I couldn't get past it. I mean, I went up and down and up and down, and I was like, is this even? I started like thinking, are they even going to pay me out if I make it back? Would it have been seen as a hard breach? And then eventually, because my watermark was so high, I didn't have that much to play with anyway. So anyway, I ended up blowing it because the watermark was too high and I had like very little to play with. But that's my story. Back to you. So what did you do to kind of overcome this like mindset hurdle?
Yeah, so after that it was just really hard because I basically the account was also eligible for a payout. And I didn't take it because I wanted, at least 1,000 or 2,000 or some number I was aiming for. And I think it was only up 1,000. So I could only take out like 500. So it just, and again, this is like the last of my money. So I basically went all in and failed, which like, that's like, I don't know, that in my opinion, that's like one of the hardest things you can go through, is like to admit, oh, I went all in and I failed. It's like, dang, like,
and it's why do you never go all in and win? It's like, it's very rare. It's the time you go all in that it's not going to work. And it's a lesson in there, right? There's definitely a lesson.
Yeah. So I basically, honestly, I don't know if it wasn't for my content, my life would be really different than it is right now. But thankfully, because I didn't give up on making content, I was still posting like every single day, like a lot. I ended up getting a job, like I think within a week after that happened, and I was starting to stress, because I didn't have money. I was like I have to stop trading. I have to go find a freaking 9 to 5. Like, my whole trajectory of my life is going to completely change because of what I just did. But luckily, I found this. They found me actually through my social media. So I got that job, and it gave me the ability to like remove the pressure and the stress and be like, okay, what do I need to do? I can think clearly. Okay, I need to take a break. I actually emailed Brett Steenbarger. You probably know who he is, the trading.
Yeah, I've never actually had him on the show, but I know that he's got quite a following.
Yeah, and for some reason he decided to reply back to me, and I basically gave him a short description of what happened to me, and he gave me advice to basically take a break and come back and focus on following your rules, make a playbook, kind of like SMB Capital, he said, I believe. I was like, all right. So I did that. I took a break for a month, and I came back only paper trading, like not eval, just paper trading, like fake demo trading, until I could follow take perfect trades for a month straight. And then the first month I kind of failed. I made like one mistake, so I restarted. And the second month I did good. So I moved to trading on an eval. And then from there, I don't know if it was like the timing of the market, but I started getting funded like the easiest I ever have. And then I got like 2 payouts within, and these are my first payouts. So like I got like 2 payouts within 2 or 3 months. But yeah. So I took a break, and then I started slow is basically the answer.
Yeah. I mean, what I do like about what you're doing, and something that we're doing in Dynamic Traders Club, which is really trying to get people to be accountable for their actions and their trading in particular. We've got a bunch of rooms where people have to post, they're free to post winners, losers, and, end of day analysis and sort of break things down. What I like with what you're doing is you're basically making yourself accountable on YouTube and social media.
Yeah.
I mean, how has that helped you, and is it super hard? Because I know you do live trading sessions on there as well. I mean, what are the struggles you've found there, and the benefits, I suppose, as well?
That for the longest time, I didn't see much benefits, because I was just posting. I just kept posting regardless. I was getting low views, so it was just like a lot of, maybe it's not a lot of negativity, but as humans, we focus on the negative. So like, it's like every so often, every video, I'd get people like insulting me or saying like, bro, you don't know what you're doing. And then it's like, dang, I mean, they're kind of right, because I'm doing this for so long. And are they right? Because like, I'm not making money yet. So I would feed into the negativity sometimes. But eventually it got to the point where I was like, it does help to, as like almost a video diary. Like I would just post basically for myself, which helped me like just get my thoughts out. It would help me. Yeah, that was the main thing. Like get my thoughts out and like try to internalize things and put it into like a concise video, like, okay, what I did wrong, what the lesson is, what I'm doing going forward. And, you know, occasionally I would give myself challenges or something like, oh, and I say I'm doing this, you know, publicly. So like I have to do it. So it does help in that aspect.
So it's a bit like a journal, a video journal. I mean, would you ever go back and review what you'd done and then sort of see it as like okay, well, I said that, or I thought that and I've actually changed, or I need to make sure I don't do that again?
I didn't do it as often as I thought I would, but it's definitely a benefit. But I just, you know, I would post so much that it would almost be it would be hard to go back and try and find a, you know, if I did it a more methodical way where I like somehow labeled stuff.
Yeah.
You know, then maybe I could have, but I just posted videos. So like,
I mean, did you ever
memorize.
do journaling in terms of like a trade journal?
I would do journaling, but it was always on and off. For some reason, like I would do physical journals, you know, online journals on the freaking computer on my phone. And I just, you know, never helped me enough for me to be consistent with it. I guess is why I wouldn't keep up with it. Cause I'm like, why am I doing this? Like I don't see any benefit. Now I do it again. Like I'm using TradeZilla and I use that consistently.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you find it helps? Like what's the key benefit of that? So other people won't understand where the benefit lies.
Video or like
of like say journaling through TradeZilla or something like that.
Well, for me, I use it mainly for the pre-trade, like a pre-trade checklist. Cause like, I know my rules, but like sometimes, you know, you open the markets and you're like, oh wait, I see this trade. And a lot of times I forget, I'm like, oh yeah, my checklist. And I go, and then one of the things on my checklist is like, check the news. I'm like, oh yeah. And like, you know, sometimes I'll enter a trade before doing the checklist. And then I'm like, oh yeah, the checklist. And I go, I'm like, wait, news. I'm like, oh frick, like Trump is speaking in an hour. Like, I'm like, you know?
Yeah.
So it's something simple, but it does help a lot.
Because is that a like? Because I've suffered from this before. Is this where you open the chart and you're like, oh damn, the setup's right there. I haven't got any time. I've got to get in because of what, you know, I don't want to have to wait like another 2 days for the next trade, and I've just seen it. But your brain's actually going, no, I'm forcing this because let's just ignore that other rule, which is kind of minor, but I suppose it's important because it's in the checklist. Is that the thing that it stops you from doing? Yeah, basically. Or sometimes I literally just forget. Like I don't remember to check the news, to check like Forex Factory and see if there's something coming up. Yeah, I mean, like it is probably one of the big ones, right? I mean, and checklist that is interesting. What about a trade plan? So I had like this epiphany the other day that because based on me, people do not want to create a trade plan. And I remember way back, like 10 years ago, this guy Andre Stewart, who was the first guy to help. He's been on the show before, helped me get myself on the straight and narrow. He's like, here's my trade plan, and it's up on the wall. Make sure you have one. And it's like, yeah, have you got a trade plan? Yep. No, I haven't. I just lied to him. I was like, I've got one when I didn't have one. Was that something that was part of your like transition?
Like I've written trading plans before, and I've written trading rules. I use the checklist basically as my plan, but I don't know if it's the same thing. Like
it's kind of the same thing. I mean, a trade plan I think would include, you know, the time of day that you're trading, which might be in your checklist. Yeah, it is. So you wrote down the checklist, which is essentially the trade plan. And once you had that down, did things start to change when you started reviewing it every single time? Was that a key thing? And I think you kind of touched on it a bit before after your Brett Steenberger conversation.
Yeah. Now I do it every single trade, and it does, I'm profitable. It's just slow. Whereas before it was like I would get a payout, and then I would spend more on prop firms. So it's like, okay, I'm still red, and then get another payout. It's like, okay, now I'm still red, or maybe I'm break even. And I ended the year, if it wasn't for me switching to this new strategy, I would have ended the year red, but then I got another payout. So I ended like net profitable, I think like $100. So like I would say it did make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. Right. And so I mean, like, it sounds like I'm trying to get my head around, like, are you, I know a lot of people are probably in the same position. Are you thinking, right, made $100. What's my goal for next year? Am I going to try and stick to what I'm doing, or am I going to try and improve what I've got? And there's that delicate balancing act of screwing what you've got and the fact that it works, albeit slow, and you can scale up to obviously increase that 100 to 10,000, whatever, versus trying to find out more or learn more to then add in something which is going to possibly, in your case, maybe increase the number of trades or increase the risk to reward, something to that effect. So what's your view on what you've got to do for the next year?
Hey, if candlesticks still confuse you, they're costing you more than you think. My private mentor JJ's decoded 25,000 hours of trading into one better candlestick. Click the link in the description or visit tradingnut.com to watch the free video and grab the free guide.
Yeah. So I just recently decided I need to stop just doing the same thing, because my last payout was February. So, it's been I think it's been, 3 months since that payout. So it's like, I feel like that's like, for whatever reason, maybe it's the conditions, or, it's still profitable and slow, like you said, but that's not necessarily what I want. So I'm still going to be using the same strategy, but I am now, that's part of the reason I started live streaming recently, is to make myself spend more time looking at the charts. And again, I'm not doing, like, this kind of sounds like bad advice. I'm not giving advice, but it sounds like, it's like, bro, that's kind of stupid. But because it's like I'm in a spot that's kind of comfortable, so I'm just forcing myself to spend more time on the charts and give it more time and focus, as well as like I don't always look at like the hourly chart. And like this Friday, I took my first like swing trade on the hourly chart in like probably 2 months. So, it's like, I just forget to look at it sometimes. And then I look back, I'm like, the market, S&P 500 is just kind of going straight up. So if any long setup you've taken in the past, I don't know how many months, like, you probably would have made money. And I forget to look at it. So I miss the trade. So now I'm just being more mindful of that. So it's like,
yeah, basically that multiple chart thing is, I'm doing live streams now, and I've got 6 charts on one screen, right? 4 hour to 1 minute, and 4 hour, 1 hour, 15, 5, 2 and 1. And it's actually been massively helpful because you don't forget to look at those charts. Right.
True.
You get a view of what's going on. You go, okay, well, I've still got 35 minutes left in the hour, 15 minutes closing in, 10 minutes, whatever. And so then you go, okay, what's the 15 doing? Just focus on that. What's the 5 doing? Okay, right. Have we got a setup? We've got confluence over 4, 1, 5, 15's not showing anything. Then all of a sudden you've got a picture of strength or weakness in a trade, or you've got an indecision point where you go, hours not showing anything, 4 hours not showing anything. And then for your kind of strategy, you could potentially be going, well, hours like almost at a setup, or hours set up and I missed it, but I've got a 5 minute setup which can get me in, or a 2 minute setup which can get me in. I don't want to get you to change your strategy, but it might be able to get you in a position. And then you go, well, if it does this, then will my 2-minute setup give me enough risk to reward? Do I need to take the full hourly thing, or do I cut it at the 2-minute take profit, whatever that is, stop loss to break even? And then if the hourly setup plays out, then I leave the runner to do the hourly work. And then all of a sudden you've got this big runner and you've done your 2-minute like rules-based strategy. I'm not too sure if that works with your thing, but that's kind of how I see it, working with all those 6 timeframes kind of running together. And the reality is, like, I'd possibly even have more, but it's just, it does become overwhelming. And I know when I first started like my mentor, JJ, was like, no, you need to have like, I think it was probably 12 charts up, 3 monitors, 12 charts. And I was just like, I couldn't do it. It was too hard. And I think that was overwhelming, whereas I went from one, add the timeframes in, and then now I feel quite comfortable. And it's like driving a car. You've got to get to that point where you feel comfortable with all the different variations and variables going on, that it feels normal. And that's so hard to get to. Hey, look, Erick, what's the best way for traders to find out more about you?
It's just my first and last name on all social medias. So Erick Jablonski, at Erick Jablonski. My main one is Instagram. So
cool. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do, folks, is we'll hook that up in the show notes, a link to all of his videos and those social media links as well, if you want to go and check them out. While you're down there clicking around, hit subscribe, like, and that notifications bell, and we'll see you in the next one.